How many times have you guys been to the bar, went to the store, tried to find a beer just for the evening, tried to pair it with dinner or a meal, whatever the case may be, and had a difficult time understanding what you were doing? Like, I don't know what this is. You may be thinking, I don't know where this came from. What's the alcohol content? I don't even know what the words on this bottle or can mean. Well, I'm here to help you out. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about different types of beer. Okay? We're going to talk about IPAs in particular. And then we're going to get into the subcategories of IPA beer. Okay? We're going to talk about where it came from. We're going to talk about the different styles. And we're going to talk about alcohol by volume. All right? So I've done quite a bit of home brewing myself. I've seen what it's like. I know the hardships when you make a bad beer. And I've been all around the United States and all over the world in my travels while in the United States Navy and seen quite a few breweries in my time. So let's get down to the origins of where the beer came from. So about approximately 170 to 180 years ago, the East India Trade Company had mariners that were trading goods such as tin, woven cloth. They were trading this to the East and India and needed a beer that would be able to withstand the journey. With such a long journey, they needed a beer that wouldn't kill them in the end. According to IPAbeer.com, the combination of high hopping rate and high alcohol by volume allowed for this new style of beer to survive the long journey and essentially not kill you. Right? So how does this happen? How do you get beer to go from what we know from before, such as lagered beer, which is lagered beer basically translates to beer being brewed in a cold process. Ales are brewed in a much warmer process, so how do we get this beer from point A to point B during this long journey? The key is hops. What you need is to hop the beer for quite a long time. So, according to Philip Lawson, he summarizes the East India Trade Company as central to the growth of the British Empire in India. They had to basically use more hops, which acts as a preservative, which increased the alcohol by volume, which made the beer last that much more longer for the sailors to get all the way from Britain all the way to India. Okay? So there's a couple different styles of beer in terms of IPAs. From the beginning, they started out with the stock IPAs. The stock IPAs were the original. Those were the beers that helped the sailor get from point A to point B, kept them drunk, and kept them happy. Right? So according to Mitch Steele, author of IPA, Brewing Techniques, Recipes, and the Evolution of India Pale Ales, this category of IPA is brewed using white malt, Goldings hops, to create a beer that is crystal clear, very light colored, intensely hoppy, and elegant. And George Hodgson was the go-to brewer of the time. George Hodgson was the brewer that the East India Trade Company went to, said, hey, we need you to make us beer. We needed you to fill these giant drums for our sailors, our mariners, to get from point A to point B, from England to India. And that's what he did. He was the go-to guy. So he essentially made the beer that could make the entire trip. This is what made IPAs famous. That's the first style, stock style. After that, we have the Burton style. The Burton style is a version described as a lower alcohol, less hopped, unaged running beer. Okay? Made famous in Burton-on-Trent in England. It reduced the alcohol by volume as a result of taxation during the 1800s. Okay? Less ingredients means you got to spread thin to make the same amount of beer for your population. So therefore, the alcohol by volume and the taste took a big hit. Today's IPAs range from anything, especially here in America, we have several different types of beers, as you can see, infused with all different types of flavors, different types of hops coming all across America. We have local homegrown hops here in the United States instead of having to reach out to Europe. And then we get into double hopping and actually triple hopping of the beers. So what does that mean? Okay, you have beers like Dogfish Head. They brew they're called 90 minute and 120 minute. That just means that the hopping process either takes 90 minutes to 120 minutes. It adds a little bit more of that bitterness that you taste, and it adds a little bit more alcohol by volume. Personally, I prefer IPAs and craft beers due to the fact that mass market American produced beers, such as your favorite here in America, Bud Light, is made with rice. And it's also owned by a major corporation that is actually in South Africa, not in America. So, we went over the different types of IPAs. We went over the origin and history where these beers came from, and we went over the different styles that you can see today and the alcohol by volume. So next time you go out, make sure you grab something new. Don't grab a Bud Light because this is way better. Thanks. Cheers.